Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Rustabout Collector, and today we're taking a look at the brand new vintage collection 3 3/4 inch Boba Fett action figure. Right here I have the card back. We do have this nice artwork of Boba Fett. The interesting thing is this is the updated version from about like here down. I think it was like cropped in there on the original release of the TVC figure by Hasbro this year, and the fans were like, no, the original had this whole character, and so they wanted the whole original image. Well, interestingly enough, something that is on the original Kenner card back as well as this one is this. And I think that this is actually originally painted on by Kenner artists to do the leg. You know, you can see like that pouch doesn't match up with Boba Fett having like a yellow knee pad there. And this all just looks kind of painted on. I'm sorry about the glare, but that's where the knee pad should be, and like this just looks kind of painted on. I think that this is the frame from Return of the Jedi. When they made the card back, they painted this in, and to keep it like standard, Hasbro has gone ahead and done the exact same thing and added this in like it was on the original card back. I could be wrong. Somebody that either grew up with these figures or knows a little bit more about Kenner history than I could definitely fill me in on that, and I'd love to know more, but I do genuinely think that this is like hand painted by the Kenner artists from back in the day because of how the frame was cropped in the original movie. That would also explain why Hasbro cropped it in for their first version of this card, and why the fans would want it zoomed out. I can definitely understand. But anyways, yeah, so there's the card back. It's got that cool like maybe history behind it there. And then on the back you can see the wave. You have the Princess Leia Bespin escape. You have Zooton or Snaggletooth. You have the Boba Fett figure, but with that orange background. There is a card variant where this is orange instead of the yellow. So there's that. Then you have Queen Amidala, the Greef cargo line. So Greef, Battle Droid, the child with his little pram, and then Anakin Skywalker, and all the other stuff that's usually on these card backs. But that's not really why you're here. You are here to see this. Oh wait, that's the wrong one. You are here to see this. This version of Boba Fett is by far the best that we have ever seen in 3 3/4 inch, and quite possibly the best we have ever seen in Black Series as well. I know that the new molds that they've been doing are usually very similar between the 6 inch and the 3 3/4 inch. A lot of similarities, including the armor here and the shoulders and stuff like that, but this one has soft goods over the hard plastic cape that the Black Series has, and I don't know, it's amazing. It's amazing to think that this is how far we have come with the vintage collection figures. Starting off, we have this figure's blaster. It's this really cool Return of the Jedi blaster. It's got a nice wash going over it that just lets the details pop right out of it. It's made out of a more bendy plastic, you can see here. That seems to be something that's more common with these new TVC figures. I noticed it first with the ARC Trooper 3-pack where their blasters were really bendy. I guess that probably does preserve them and keep them from more easily breaking. It doesn't seem to warp too badly, so it seems like it holds its shape while still being bendy. I do appreciate that, but yeah, there is that blaster. It's really cool, very nicely detailed. Then there is the jetpack. It has some really nice weathering, some good paint apps. The yellow, the blue, they all really contrast very nicely. It just simply pegs on with this like semicircle slot, so it'll just go right on like that, and it won't fall off no matter how much you fly him into the side of the sail barge. He'll be just fine. It'll stay on very nicely. As for the figure himself, oh boy is it good. There is only one complaint. I will actually knock that out right away, and the rest is it's all good. It is all good with this figure. My only complaint is here with the helmet. You can kind of see the black T-visor doesn't fully fill the little inlay area, so you can kind of see some green there in the corner, and then again on this side, so I'll probably go in and touch that up myself. I wish that they'd actually hit it when they produce this figure, but it's a very minor grievance, and it is my real only grievance with this figure. So your mileage may vary with that. You might find one in stores or through a pre-order that has perfect paint apps, but mine was just a little bit off. As for the rest of the figure, the paint apps are immaculate. He's got silver little like weathering details, the little emblems here and here. He's got the soft goods cape, which has little like blaster holes through it. The back plate there, no weathering, but that's covered by the jetpack anyways. He has his gauntlets, the tubing. Hopefully the tubing has enough flex in it that it won't crack and break off. It was kind of common to have that happen with like Jango and Boba in previous iterations, but hopefully they've maybe used a different material for that now. You have his belts and his straps there, the other gauntlet. Moving on down, you have his knee pads, unlike the card art, of course. That's what I was referring to, by the way. There's that pouch there, and he should have a knee pad. Again, I do think that's a Kenner artwork piece that they had to do just to make the card back in the day. But yeah, I mean, all in all, this figure is extremely well detailed. Looking at it in the camera and, you know, looking at it in person, if you didn't see it in hand with like a hand to see the scale, you would easily think that this figure was a 6-inch, maybe even a 12-inch figure. It is just that good. Now let's talk about articulation on this figure. The head has a double ball joint in it, or like a dumbbell joint, so it has a really nice range of motion. Side to side, you got lots of tilt, you got forward, and you have upwards. You can kind of see that there is like a partially sculpted in head, but it's not the same as with like the Black Series figures. It's not glued onto the head. There is actually it's actually like molded with the head in it. So that's curious. It does leave room for them, I guess, to possibly retool it so that they could maybe do a removable Boba helmet for the Mandalorian. I think that would be fantastic, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see what they do with that. At the shoulders, the shoulder pads are actually on this little bit of flexible rubber attached to the torso, allowing the shoulders to flex well past 90 upwards, swivel pretty much all the way around as long as the armor doesn't get in the way. As you can see, the elbow is a single jointed elbow that gets up well past 90. That can swivel around as well. And then for the hands, you have the hinge and the swivel. Swivel it all the way around, hinge it up and down, which is very nice. And I believe both wrists are an up and a down swivel. The hoses on this arm are long enough to where you can fully bend the elbow inward and they aren't strained like to their maximum at all. There's still just a little bit of play in them, which is really nice to see. Again, they've thought it through. They've tried to like engineer it so that those won't break. Then at the torso, you have a ball joint as well. So you've got torso bend all the way around. You can go forward, back, side to side. Love to see that articulation. Moving down to the hips, they have basically the same hips that we've come to expect with TVC figures. Hinge and a swivel up in the hips with a thigh swivel so you can get that swivel position correctly, bring it forward, swivel the thigh into the position that you want, and then you can have him sitting or whatever action pose you might want. And I guess this does bring me to what I guess could be a second gripe. I'm not totally sure, but this seems to be the way that they've been going. They did this with the ARC Trooper 3-pack. They put the knee pads on the thigh rather than on the knee, and I guess it's to try and hide the joint, but I don't think it does a very good job of that, unfortunately. So that's a little bit of a gripe. Now, I'm looking at this now, and it looks like there's a little bit of give. It's a little bit of a rubbery plastic that the knee pads are made out of, so you could maybe slip those down, like break it off of the thigh and then slip it down over the knee. I think I would prefer it that way, although I know with like the Clone Troopers, this back strap does break and then the knee pad just falls off entirely. So there's pros and cons to that. I get it. I just wish that when you bent the knee pad traveled with the knee rather than just staying at the thigh. That's just been a new thing that Hasbro's done with many of the recent figures, and I guess it's up to personal preference whether you like it that way or not. But the knee joint does bend rather well. It looks good. Even with knee pad up there, it's still a solid joint. I don't know if it's that big of a deal. And then down at the ankle, you have a hinge and a swivel, so you can hinge it all the way to the point where the foot actually flexes because it's like a softer rubber. And then you can bring it forward to right about there, and very impressively, they have actually gone ahead and given him rockers rather than just a swivel. So that way you can bring the leg out a little bit like this, and maybe bring this leg out and try and get him into like a quick little action pose for you all to see what I'm talking about. You can get him into some absolutely stunning action poses with these rockers and with the new hip joints and everything. Now the knee pads are a little bit skewed in that position, but I mean the feet are level on the ground and it just looks so cool. So yeah, there you go. There is the Vintage Collection Boba Fett from Return of the Jedi. Honestly, this is probably top 10 of the best vintage collection figures we have ever seen, hands down. Excellent articulation, a few minor gripes with just quality control on the visor and the knee pad positioning. They aren't that big of a deal though. When you look at the overall sculpt of this figure, it is immaculate, and I don't know, I don't think that those gripes are something that would be worth not buying it over, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I don't know if there's much else to say in terms of articulation. Paint apps are solid, like I said, and overall just a great figure. If you want to know how he stands or stacks up next to other figures in the line, here he is next to the Han Solo that came with like the throne room playset. He stands pretty much well, he's actually a little bit taller, but I do know that this is an older figure and they just repacked it, whereas this is the new figure, so there might be a reasoning there. And also, I don't know what the true height of Boba Fett is. Maybe Boba Fett is a little bit shorter. Maybe he's a short king. He's a short king compared to Harrison Ford, you know. Maybe that's the case. I'm not entirely sure. But then here he is next to what I believe is the Evolutions pack Boba Fett. It's really the same one. They repacked it multiple times, and they did eventually repack it in the vintage collection early on. But yeah, here's this Boba Fett, and here he is next to him, if I can get him to stand up. There is a massive, actually let's move him over just a little bit, but there is clearly night and day a difference between these two Boba Fetts. My word. Just look at them. This is like, this is you, and then this is the man that she's been saying not to worry about. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are just night and day different. I absolutely love this figure. This was good for its time, so don't get me wrong. This was good for its time. It served its purpose, but now that they have the technology, I am so glad that they're revisiting the character and doing him so much more justice. Let's scoot him over to here, and one final comparison just for those of you that might be looking to make a custom or something like that and make this Boba Fett into the Mando Boba. Here he is next to Vintage Collection Mandalorian. I don't have the new Beskar Mando, unfortunately. I really wish I did. But you can see they're pretty much the same height, which I think is fairly accurate. They make a really nice lineup, honestly, and work really well together on a shelf, especially if you have the Beskar Mando. Someday, maybe, I will track that down, but unfortunately, locally, scalpers got to it before I could ever get to it, and yeah, we'll see if I ever track it down. But anyways, that's besides the point. There's the lineup. I think that it's a fantastic addition to any collection. It is a fine addition to any collection, might I say. And yeah, there you go. Perfect for all of you original trilogy fans, I think. And just, it's just truly showing how good the vintage collection can be. But anyways, guys, that's where I'm going to wrap up this video. I appreciate you sticking around to the very end if you have. Please leave a like down below, leave a comment, subscribe if you're new to the channel and want to keep up with what's going on here at the Rust Belt Studio, I guess. Link down in the description to my toy photography page over on Instagram if you want to check that out. And there's a P.O. box down there as well. If you want to send anything into the channel, I'll unbox it here. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you all in the next video.